I pulled into my own driveway at 11:47 on a Friday night in late September. The ER had been slow, and the charge nurse had cut me loose at 11. 4 extra hours of sleep were waiting for me. I should have been happy. Then I saw Holden's truck. It was parked at an angle, 3 degrees off. Maybe. My husband was the kind of man who lined up his wheels with the cracks in the concrete. The truck looked tired, somehow, lazy. There was a second car behind it, a small silver Honda. I knew it from somewhere, but my brain was not catching up. The porch light was off. Holden never forgot the porch light. I walked up the steps with my keys already in my hand. Inside, the house smelled like red wine and rosemary chicken. He used to make that for me on our second date. I had not asked him to make it in a long time. A laugh came from the kitchen, a woman's laugh. My stomach went cold before my brain caught up. I did not burst in. 15 years as an ER nurse had trained me not to react first. When you walk into a code blue at 3 a.m., you stand in the doorway. You see the room, you count the people, then you move. I stood in the dark hallway and listened. 2 voices, low. The fridge door opened. A wine bottle clinked against a glass. The woman said, "She's on nights all week, right?" And Holden said, "Yeah." Got the place to ourselves until Sunday. I knew that voice. I knew it the way you know the sound of your own name. It was my younger sister, Marley. For a long second, I did not move. Slowly, I counted to 20. Then I walked back out the front door. I drove to the parking lot of a 2-4-hour Waffle House on the highway. The engine clicked as it cooled. For 40 minutes, I sat there. No tears came. My hands shook so badly that I could not unlock my phone for the first 3 tries. 2 years ago, Marley had moved into our spare bedroom. She was 28, fresh out of a bad relationship, broke. She had said, 3 months tops, Tess. I swear, she had stayed 11 months. I had loved having her there. She made coffee in the morning. She braided my daughter Ren's hair before school. She bickered with Holden over which streaming show to watch on the couch. More than once, I had thought, this is what family is supposed to feel like. Marley had moved out a year ago, into a place 10 minutes away. We still had Sunday dinners. Holden grilled. Marley brought wine. Ren ran around the yard barefoot. There were photos on Marley's Instagram with the hashtag luckiest sister. I had liked every one. In the Waffle House lot, I opened my purse. For 3 weeks, I had been carrying a folded receipt. I had found it in the truck console when I was looking for sunglasses. A receipt from a Marriott in Savannah. 2 nights, 1 king room. The dates matched a weekend Holden had told me he was on a fishing trip with his cousin. When I had asked him about the receipt, he had said, "Babe, you're paranoid. I lost my bait shop receipt in there too. Just toss it." So I had tossed it. I had felt small for asking. I had even apologized. Now I unfolded it. The room rate, the valet charge. The fold marks were soft and tired. I had been carrying it longer than 3 weeks. Even if I had not been opening it, that much was clear now. I took a photo of it with my phone. For weeks, I had been collecting things without really admitting it to myself. A strange charge, a late text, a weekend trip with no photos. Maybe a coworker, I had thought. Maybe someone from his gym. Marley? Never. Marley would not have crossed my mind in 1,000 years. How long? I thought. How long? Then, no, not yet. Don't ask that yet. You'll fall apart. I drove home at 1:30. The strange car was gone. Holden was in our bed, asleep. From the doorway, I watched him breathe. I got into bed next to him. His face in the dark was the same face I had been kissing for 15 years. I did not recognize it. Sleep did not come. A decision was forming in the dark. Tonight there would be no screaming. There would be no phone call to my mother. There would be no more crying in parking lots, ever. I was going to find out exactly how long, exactly how much, exactly who else knew, and then I was going to do something about it. Holden mumbled in his sleep and rolled toward me. I did not move away. I just lay there, eyes open, watching the ceiling fan turn above our bed.
I can't believe it. This changes everything. What do I do now?
The next morning, I made oatmeal for Wren at the kitchen island. I added blueberries the way she liked. My hands were steady. That surprised me. Holden walked in. He kissed the top of my head. He said, "How was last night, babe?" I said, "Slow." They cut me loose early. I watched his face. He did not flinch. He poured coffee. He asked if Wren had soccer practice tonight. It was the most normal he had ever sounded, and that was what scared me most. He was good at this. I have been married to a stranger for at least one weekend, I thought, probably much longer. What followed was 6 weeks of me playing two roles: wife by daylight, investigator by phone screen. I did not hire anyone. A nurse knows how to read records. She knows how to ask questions without sounding like she is asking. I started small. The credit card statement got opened for the first time in a year. Holden handled the finances. He had been doing it for years. There were charges I did not recognize. A jewelry store in Buckhead, a steakhouse, an Airbnb in Asheville back in May. The Airbnb dates matched a weekend Marley had posted from a girls' trip with Kara. Kara had been tagged. I scrolled 3 months back on Kara's own page and found that Kara had been in Mexico with her boyfriend that exact weekend. The jewelry store charge was $1,840. No jewelry had come to me. My birthday was not until February. Our anniversary had been in March, and Holden had given me a Fitbit. I found an iCloud backup on the family computer. 3 years ago, I had set it up when Holden kept losing photos. Whether he remembered it existed, I did not know. He probably did not. He was bad with tech. I opened it. There were photos. There were messages. Most of it was innocent. Some of it was not. I did not read everything. I made myself read enough. The earliest message that crossed a line was from 16 months ago. 16 months. Marley had still been living in our guest room for the first month of it. I did not throw the laptop. I did not call anyone. Instead, I sat in my closet on the floor and let myself feel it for exactly 9 minutes. There was a kitchen timer with me, a chicken-shaped one my grandmother had given me, missing a wing. Once I had read about boxing in grief. You can let it have a room, but not the whole house. When the timer beeped, I stood up. I washed my face. The shift started in an hour. 2 Sundays after the discovery, Marley came over for dinner. She brought a bottle of Pinot. She hugged me at the door. She said, "You look tired, sis. Pulling too many shifts again?" I hugged her back. I said, "Yeah, you know how it is." I watched her laugh at something Holden said about Wren's soccer game. I watched her hand brush Holden's arm when she reached for the salt. The brush was so casual it would have been invisible if you didn't know. I knew. I served the lasagna. My wine glass stayed full. The whole meal went by without me flinching once. Marley complimented the garlic bread. After dinner, in the kitchen, Marley said quietly, "Hey, are you okay? You've seemed kind of, I don't know, distant," I said. Calmly, "Just a long week. March, I love you." She hugged me. I hugged back. Going through the iCloud, the next week, I found a draft email Holden had never sent, dated 4 months ago, addressed to a divorce attorney. The body just said, "Hi, looking to set up a consult. Complicated situation. I want to know my options regarding assets and custody before things get formal." He had never sent it, but he had written it. He had been planning to leave me. He just had not pulled the trigger. I was not wrecking a marriage. The marriage was already half-ended in his head. Something shifted in me. Up until this point, part of me had wanted to confront him in the kitchen and let him beg. Now, I saw the bigger shape. He had been planning to control how this ended. He thought he would pick the moment, and Marley, who had held Wren as a newborn and cried at my wedding, Marley thought she was going to step into my life without consequence. I sat at my own kitchen table at 2 a.m. with a cold cup of decaf and decided something. He doesn't get to write the ending. I do. I opened my laptop. I drafted an email of my own to a lawyer my coworker, Naya, had mentioned 6 months ago in the break room. I wrote it. The send button stayed untouched. The email was saved as a draft. Then I opened the calendar app and marked a date in red, November 4th, Holden's father's 70th birthday. A big party, 60 people, the whole extended family, the whole circle of friends. Marley would be there. I circled the date twice. The laptop closed. The lawyer's office was in a small building in Decatur. Renata Okafor was direct and mid-50s. She had a framed law degree from the University of Georgia behind her desk, slightly crooked, with a faint coffee ring on the matting. She had done this hundreds of times. I could tell. Renata did not soften anything. She said, "Georgia is an equitable distribution state. With proof of the affair and the iCloud records, you have leverage. You document everything. You don't move money. You don't post about it. You don't tell your sister anything. You don't tell your mother anything until 10 minutes before you need her to know. People mean well, and they leak." I nodded. The yellow legal pad came out. Notes were a habit from nursing school. Renata said, "What's your timeline?" I said, "November 4th. She raised an eyebrow. I explained, "Father-in-law's 70th birthday. Big party, whole family." Renata was quiet for a long moment. She said slowly, "You're going to do it there?" I said, "I'm going to announce it there." She was quiet again. Then she said, "Tessa, I am your lawyer. I will defend whatever you do. But as a human, are you sure?" I said, "I have spent the last 16 months being lied to in front of every person I love. I want every person I love to hear the truth at the same time. He doesn't get to control the story room by room." Renata wrote something down. She said, "Okay, then here is what we do. For the next 5 weeks, I built my plan to leave. Money got moved carefully. Only what was mine, only what I had earned, into a new account at a different credit union. Everything from the iCloud went onto an encrypted drive. While Holden was in the shower one morning, I used his USAA app to download 3 years of statements. There was a folder on my own laptop labeled, in plain English, Holden Documentation. It was 47 pages by the time I was done. There were small, painful things too. Holden invited me to a date night at a steakhouse in Midtown, and I went. He held my hand across the table, and I let him. He said, "I've been an idiot lately, babe. I want to do better." He was doing the thing where he gets affectionate when he feels guilty. I knew this pattern from watching him with Ren after he loses his temper, which he sometimes does. I squeezed his hand back. I thought, "You will remember this dinner the rest of your life." I took Ren to the park more often. The freezer filled up with home-cooked meals. Ren's pediatrician records got pulled. There was a list of who I would call, in what order, on November 5th, the day after. Then I did something most stories would not let a woman like me do. 3 weeks before the party, I went to Marley's apartment. The takeout came from her favorite Thai place. My voice was normal. I said, "I just miss you. We never hang out one-on-one anymore." Marley lit up. We ate on her couch. I let her complain about her job. I let her talk about a guy she kind of had a thing with, but it's complicated. The guy was Holden. I knew. She said, "I just feel guilty, Tess. I don't know why. I shouldn't, right? It's nothing serious," I said, gently. "Tell me about him." And she did. For 40 minutes, she told me everything she had ever felt about my husband. The way he listened, the way he laughed, the weekend in Savannah, the night he had said "I love you," the question of what they would name a kid if they ever had one, my sister talking about my husband in front of me, as if we were 2 single women dishing. I let her talk. There was no stopping her. There was no warning. I drank my Thai iced tea, too sweet, condensed milk pooling at the bottom of her IKEA glass, and I nodded, and I absorbed every detail. The recording was running. My phone was in my purse. Voice memo on. But more than that, I was letting my own sister humiliate herself for 40 minutes with no warning. This was not just self-defense anymore. It was something else. I knew it. I did not stop myself. When I was leaving, Marley said, almost as an afterthought, hugging me at the door, "Hey, by the way, Holden's dad's party is coming up. You guys going?" I was going to skip, but Mom guilted me. I said, "Yeah, we're going. You should come. It's family." She looked relieved. She said, "Okay, for you. I'll come for you, sis." I hugged her. I said, "Love you, March." In the parking lot of her building, I sat in my car and finally cried. Not quietly, loud, the ugly kind. 10 minutes. Not because I did not want to do this. The crying came because I did. The woman who could do this was not the woman who had been Marley's older sister 3 months ago, and that woman was gone. I was not sure who I was now. I wiped my face. The car drove itself to Target. The dress for Ren was sparkly, size 5T. Party perfect. I told the cashier, "It's for my niece." And the lie was so easy it scared me. I drove home. November 4th was 18 days away. The party was at a country club ballroom outside the city. Glenn was well loved. He was a retired contractor with a beer belly and a big laugh. 60 people had come. Aunts, uncles, neighbors, Holden's brothers, Marley, even Pastor Davis from the church. Marley had brought a date for cover, some guy named Cody she had been casual with for a few weeks. I almost felt sorry for him. I wore a navy dress I had bought specifically for tonight, flats, not heels. That decision had been made 2 weeks ago. Ren was at my mother's house. 3 hours earlier, I had told my mother only one thing. Something is going to happen tonight. Please keep Ren until tomorrow morning. No questions. My mother had looked at my face and asked no questions. Holden kept his hand on the small of my back at intervals. He kept saying, "You good, babe? You seem quiet." I kept saying, "I'm fine. Just tired." The microphone tapped. Thump, thump, thump. Glenn was giving a thank you toast to his guests. He thanked his wife. He thanked his sons. He thanked Pastor Davis. He thanked God. He cried a little. When he was done, he said with a big grin, "If anyone else wants to say a few words for the old man, the floor is yours." I raised my hand. Holden's eyebrows went up. He had not seen me give a public speech in 15 years of marriage. He whispered, "What are you doing?" I smiled at him. I walked to the microphone. The mic came up to my mouth. Left hand on the stand, right hand wrapped around it, the way I had once seen a hospital chaplain do at a memorial. I said warmly, "Glenn, you've been an incredible father-in-law. I want everyone here to know that." Polite laughter, applause. Glenn beamed. Then I said, "I also want everyone here to know something else. And I'm sorry, Glenn. I really am sorry it has to be tonight. But it has to be tonight. Because I have been the only person in this family being lied to, and that ends now." The room did not understand what was happening yet. There were 2 seconds of polite, confused laughter. Was this a joke? I did not pause for it. I said, clearly, without raising my voice, 16 months ago, my husband Holden began an affair with my younger sister Marley. They have stayed at the Marriott in Savannah, the Airbnb in Asheville, and several other places I have receipts for. Marley, you bought a $1,840 bracelet at an upscale jewelry store in Buckhead in July. I have paid for on my husband's credit card. I have it on video. I have it on text. I have it in his own handwriting in a draft email to a divorce lawyer he was planning to send before he had the courage. The room went silent in a way that was physical. You could hear ice settle in someone's glass. Marley made a sound, not a word, a sound. Holden took one step toward me and stopped because 2 of his brothers were now looking at him in a way that was not friendly. I was not done. I said, "Some of you in this room knew. I know who. I'm not going to name you tonight because I want you to think about whether you should ever have stayed friends with someone who could do this. I will name 2 people, Holden Brennan and Marley Whitfield. I have spent my marriage being lied to by 2 people in this room. They both told me they loved me." Holden found his voice. He said loudly, Tessa, stop. This isn't. Let's go home and talk." I turned to him. Into the microphone, I said, "I'm not going home, Holden. I haven't lived there in my head for weeks. The papers are with my lawyer. You will be served on Monday." There is nothing to talk about. You lost me a long time before tonight. You just didn't know I was paying attention." I turned to Marley. She was crying. Her mascara was already gone. My voice softened only a little here. The love was still in it, somewhere underneath. "That was the most painful part of the speech for me," I said. "March, I held your hand at our father's funeral. I co-signed your first apartment. I named my daughter after our grandmother because I wanted us to be the kind of sisters who passed names down. You took a sledgehammer to that. I hope it was worth a Marriott in Savannah." I put the microphone down on the table next to Glenn's cake. The cake was from Publix, vanilla buttercream. A single 70 candle was still smoking on top because nobody had blown it out. I walked out. I did not run. I did not look back. The room behind me erupted. Gasps. One of Holden's brothers said, "Jesus Christ, Holden." But I walked straight to the doors and into the cold November parking lot. In the parking lot, two things happened. One, Holden's mother, Lorraine, caught up with me. She had been my mother-in-law for 15 years. I had expected her to side with her son. She did not. She grabbed my hands. She was shaking. She said, "I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I will never speak to him again the way I used to. Do you hear me?" I nodded. The right words did not come. I just nodded again. 2. As Lorraine walked back toward the building, Holden came out the front doors. He saw me. He started walking toward me, fast, half running. His face was a face I had never seen on him before. Not anger, pure panic. He had not understood until this exact moment that this was real, that there was no "let's talk it out." He was about to lose his marriage, his daughter's whole-time presence, his image, his family standing in one night. He said, Tess, please." I didn't. It wasn't supposed to. I love you. Please don't do this." And here is my final flaw, the one that costs me. I paused. For just a second, some part of me, after 15 years, still heard him, still loved him, still wanted to be wrong about all of this. But I had made my bed. I said, very quietly, "You should have loved me before tonight, Holden." I got in my car. I drove away. I made it 3 exits down the highway before I had to pull over. The road was a blur through my tears. I sat on the shoulder with my hazards on. My phone was buzzing. 22 missed calls in 9 minutes. I turned it off. I rested my forehead on the steering wheel. I had won. It did not feel like a win. Five months later, I was in a new apartment, a 2-bedroom in a complex 20 minutes from the old house. It was March. A box of Ren's school papers was open on the kitchen table. Ren was at Holden's this weekend. The custody was 60/40. I had the larger share. It was the first Saturday morning I had been alone in 3 weeks. I found, in Ren's papers, a drawing. She had drawn the family. Mom, Dad, herself. Mom and Dad were on opposite sides of the page. There was a thick black crayon line down the middle, pressed harder than the rest of the picture, the way a 6-year-old presses when she is upset and does not have the words yet. In the middle, in Ren's handwriting, were 3 words. I miss you. It wasn't clear who the words were addressed to. Maybe Holden, maybe me, Maybe both. I sat down at the kitchen table. The drawing held my eyes for a long time. No tears came. Most of my crying was already behind me. I just looked. Two of Holden's brothers had not spoken to him since November. Marley had moved back to Birmingham 3 weeks after the party. Our mother had stopped speaking to her. Now I was the one who had to call my mother every Sunday and listen to her cry about Marley. I had lost a sister. My mother had lost a daughter. The reason for it was me, even though it wasn't, not really. Some Sundays I wondered if I should have kept the affair private and divorced quietly and saved my mother. The answer was not clear. Some nights I thought I knew it. Some nights I didn't. Holden, 6 weeks after the party, called me at 1 a.m. He had been drinking. He said, "I'm in therapy. I'm doing the work. Will you ever? Would you ever even consider?" I had hung up before he finished. Later, staring at the dark ceiling, I thought, therapy started the day he got caught, not the day he started cheating. The timing told me everything. I blocked his number that night. We communicate only through the custody app now. Lorraine called me in February. She said one thing: "Ren will always have me." I thanked her. We talk now, but only about Ren. The doorbell rang. It was Naya from the ER, the one who had recommended Renata. She brought coffee in 2 paper cups. She said, "I figured you'd be alone today. You good?" I showed her the drawing. She looked at it. She said, "Ren'll be okay." I said, "I know. That doesn't mean she won't carry this." Naya didn't argue. We drank our coffee. We didn't talk for a while. The silence was the closest thing I had had to peace in months. That night, I was alone again. Ren was still at Holden's. I poured a glass of wine. The wine glass had a small chip on the rim. I had not replaced it because I liked that it was not perfect. I sat on the small balcony. The complex was named something forgettable, Cypress Creek or Stonebridge. The neighbors were quiet. The night was cold but not unbearable. Marley called in January. I let it go to voicemail. The voicemail was 4 minutes. I did not listen to it. I deleted it. Holden came to mind too. I tried to picture his face. There was trouble. The face I pictured was the one from the parking lot. Pure panic, half running, no longer my husband. That face has replaced every other one in my memory. Whether it is grief or relief, I do not know. Maybe both. It was Ren on a video call from Holden's. She was in pajamas with little stars on them. She said, "Mommy, look at my missing tooth." She grinned, gap-toothed, into the camera. I laughed. It was a real laugh. It surprised me. I said, "Oh my goodness, baby. You look so grown up." She said, "Daddy says we can have ice cream tomorrow." I said, "Wow. Lucky girl." We talked for 10 minutes. About nothing. About school. About her friend Sayersha, who got a new puppy. I watched my daughter's face. I thought, this is the thing I get to keep. This is the part nobody can take. The call ended. I sat on the balcony. The wine was half finished. I didn't pour more. I stood up. Inside, the wine glass got washed and put away. The kitchen light went off. I walked down the hall to my room. The drawing, with the black line and the 3 words, was on the kitchen table where I had left it. I did not put it away. I let it sit out where I could see it in the morning. I got into bed. The apartment was quiet. The sheets were clean. The blanket was heavier than the one in the old house. I had bought it myself after 15 pounds. Weighted. It helped on the bad nights. I closed my eyes. There were no speeches in my head. No decisions came to me. I just slept.
Wow, she let Molly talk for 40 minutes. To sit there with the recorder on, that part scared me a little. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, a friend of mine went through something kinda like this. Not the sister part, but the lying. It changes you for good. And Rand's drawing, the black line down the middle, that broke me. Quick question. So now it's quick question. Would you give that speech at the party or walk away quiet? Tell me below, and I really wanna know your point of view. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.